Alright, you guys should be able to hear me on stream now. Let me grab our trade plan here. Alright, sorry guys, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. My mic was working last night, went to bed, woke up, turned the PC on, the mic's not working. Didn't change a thing, but technology finds a way to break. Alright, let's go ahead and try to speed through this trade plan. I know we're running late here. Unfortunately, there was a really good VWAP trade there I was trying to explain on NASDAQ. It happened a little bit pre-market. It was right at the open. It did come down to VWAP there. As we talked about last week, sorry, you guys can't see my ADIS charts. I'll show you on TradingView here in a second. But as we said last week, VWAP was very strong on respecting VWAP, and you saw that here at the open. ES is lagging behind NASDAQ quite a bit, but it looks like NASDAQ is trying to pull you higher here. So keep an eye on that. Basically just in a bull flag to VWAP trade on NASDAQ as long as you stay above those EMAs. One thing to look out for, which was kind of playing out until this point, is that overnight fade. Our overnight is extremely one-directional. You can see damn near every single 30-minute candle being protected on the lows. And we're still kind of doing that into the open. They did get a little bit of a pullback kind of around that like 5 to 6 a.m. He started topping out, and then he pulled back a little bit on the open. So you have a little bit of a overnight fade, but not too much. Or so on ES, which I'll show you here in a second. So ES pulled back about half of that overnight. So a little bit of an overnight fade there. You are being pulled higher by NASDAQ, possibly rotating back into that 731. So keep an eye on that. All right, very quickly, let's go over our trade plan. So last night it was above 710, looking for 750 and 756. That is still pretty much the trade plan. Below 700, we're looking for 71, the retrace of Friday, and then possibly 49. So trade plan is the same as last night. You do have that P-shaped profile. The overnight trend is very one-directional. Little bit of a pullback. Like I said, you're going against it a little bit, but still pretty one-directional with that P-shape. Do I sound normal for you guys on stream? Does it sound like I'm using the same mic as I normally am? I don't have like a webcam hooked up or anything, so it should only be picking up this mic. Sounds normal, okay. All right, so trade plan on NASDAQ. We are hitting one of our targets already, that 948. Next target is 2517, and then possibly the extension target into 150. We do need to stay above 815 to maintain that bullish buy pressure. That should be 15. Not sure why that's 12. And then below 15, we're looking for that value high of Friday, which is around that 96 area, and then the value low, which is around that 566 area as well. So just because our first target is hit, we're going to go ahead and extend that. So we'll say the first target is now 2517, and then second target is that extension. All right, now that that's all over, let's go ahead and post that. Give me 1 second. Sorry, if you guys are just coming in, I was having some issues with my mic, so we're starting a little late today. We should be good now. Okay, well today was supposed to be Momo Monday, so let me go ahead and bring those charts up. It's hard to do the Momo Mondays now because TradingView is so slow in the around the open. Okay, sorry. What I was trying to explain earlier was that retest of VWAP. The yellow line here is that session VWAP we normally watch on Addis. We pulled back into it. There was a bottom pivot there with a purple shading, so one of our combos with the pivot and the shading. Also retesting the VWAP, and then it started to bottom. So that was a really good move off VWAP there. Still very weak on ES. Not really seeing a lot of follow through above the VWAP and above the OTS trail here. A lot of levels lining up around that like 23 area, and you're not really able to find a whole lot of buyers above that. The clock is called Widget Launcher from Microsoft Store. Here's that 30-minute trail on ES starting to come to a failure. If it stays below that, might flip that red, so keep an eye on that. You have lost a lot of momentum on that 30-minute. Watch for a higher low here. A little bit of an inverse head and shoulders on that 1-minute chart. Looks like we might be putting in that higher low. You were a little extended on NASDAQ. It was outside that upper band. It was kind of riding the upper band a little bit. So we did pull back to the ADMA. Still very aggressive, still holding on to that ADMA. 30-minute recovering that trail, now giving a buy signal on that trail. Yeah, good morning, guys. Sorry about the confusion. Let me delete that other stream so people are not waiting in that one. For some reason, my mic just didn't want to work today. I had to restart the whole PC. Typical technology. We really need to find some buy pressure back above like 27 here. You did finish that rotation. You hit that target on NASDAQ. You have not started that, or sorry, you have not finished that rotation on ES. It was looking for around 30. You're stalling on the POC here. Good morning, everybody. You want Roger, Tamer, Ordinary, Morris, Creso, Orion, Nitro, C-Mac, Igor, Broccoli, Ordinary, Onyx, Nitro, C-Mac, Ryder, OD. Good morning, Izzy. Good morning, Leo. Good morning, Tamer. Appreciate you guys all being here. Sorry for the confusion there on the double stream. By the way, we might have to push that release of that first video back a week. I'm not 100% pushing it back yet, but most likely. I don't think we'll have the editing done by Wednesday. And I want to stay on that same schedule of releasing the video on Wednesday and then doing the Monday Q&A. So I don't want to push the video back like a day or two. I'd rather just push it back a whole week and stay on that schedule. So like I said, no certainty yet. It still may come out. I'll let you guys know for sure tomorrow. But we may have to push it out 1 week. I'm trying to make sure this series is very timeless and polished. Typically, my series are like one and dones. They're not a lot of editing. You guys know my style. I kind of just turn the video on and do a little bit of an info dump and then call it a video. These videos I'm trying to make a little bit more polished. So a bit more time goes into these. I get a lot of questions about, especially people who join the Discord, about like where to start with my content. So this will be a good like crash course for people that are just starting out with my style of trading or my content on the channel. So I want to make sure it's got everything. You want a James, you want a Linus JC. A little bit of a trap here on the 1 minute Momo. The bears are being trapped. They pulled back. You saw that momentum coming down, but it's already going positive again. If you stay above that 80 MA here, it's going to start squeezing out that trap. Now, that wasn't really the greatest trap. Typically, you want the pullback to be a bit stronger, so there's actually sellers that can be trapped. This is kind of more of a sideways profit take. Still holding that 30-minute trail. They swept that trail there, giving a little bit of a buy signal. You have a 5-minute pivot on the low. 1 minute, there's no pivot, but there's a very slight bull div. And as I've talked about, when you put in bull divs like that, the low that is the actual low puts in the pivot. The bull div does not put in the pivot. Pretty much all the levels are lining up around the mid-20s. You need to recover the mid-20s here. Not finding a ton of buy pressure above 20. Or sorry, 25. Come on, Lucio, no worries, man. I was a little late myself. My mic was having some issues, so you guys couldn't hear me, unfortunately. I turned the candle colors back on the indicators because the candlesticks are really choppy today. So the candle colors do a good job cleaning that up. We're kind of in like a do not care zone. You can kind of see the candles are turning gray on the OTS. We're also in like one of those pivot sandwiches. There's like a zone in between here that we don't really care about. We want to see if it builds value above or below. Until it does that, like I said, we don't really care. Turning into a little bit of a rollover top. That trap is not playing out. Like I said, it was kind of a weak trap. Didn't really have that pullback. It was a trap, but not a strong one that we'd like to see. And now it flipped right back to being red. So going more into a rollover now. Typically with those traps, as I always talk about, there's two patterns of the trap. You have the cupping pattern, and you have like the V pattern. This was more of a flat trap. The cupping pattern usually works out better than the V. It's easier to trade. The cupping pattern would be like when you have an impulse and then you kind of slowly come back down. And then you have all your like EMAs or your VWAP or whatever. And you run into those and then momentum starts to flip back up. So these sellers are kind of trapped. All right, are we going to build value below this range here? Building below 20, getting a little weak, possibly a rollover top on NASDAQ. That little trap that you did have did lead to a new high, but the new high got swept. So new high took out the old high, put in a high of day, 968, and then pulled back. Or sorry, it was 959. 68's the upper band. Good afternoon, Michael. What's going on, Vivian? This 30 minutes also kind of a rollover, so a little bit dangerous here. Losing momentum, putting in a lower high, putting in a lower low. You tried to lose the 30-minute trail on that last candle, then it swept it. Now we're trying again. So keep an eye on that, getting a little bit weak on that 30-minute. You're not missing too much on the order flow charts today. We had a little bit of block trades on NASDAQ on the high of day. Those are a bit strange. Kind of grabbing liquidity. Let me send you a screenshot. So you can see all these block trades on the high of day. You typically do not want to see block trades on high of day, low of day. They're typically grabbing liquidity, and they're not actually one directional. So these block trades are grabbing the high and then coming back down. Is it today or tomorrow? I think tomorrow is the final trading day. What's today, the 29th? Yeah, so tomorrow. Be careful trading tomorrow. Be careful trading on Wednesday. The last day of the month and the first day of the month. Typically some weird price action. 30-minute trying to put in a blue pivot here. That'd be nice if it could hold on to that trail. Bit of a weird place for a blue pivot. This is typically seen as a stair-stepping pivot. You want to see blue pivots after downward impulses. If they happen towards the high, let me see if I can find an example. Don't have any examples recently. Kind of like this one here. Kind of after a pullback. Those become stair-stepping pivots, and they're supports that get broken and then turn into resistance very quickly. So we'll see how this one closes. Very early to call it. We have 22 minutes left on that candle. Watch that rotation on on ES here going up to 29. And watch that value high on NASDAQ. If we can hold above that 935, then it is building value above the value high. So trying to trying to break the rotation. Break out of balance to the upside. Trail still holding there. 3 buy signals on the 1 minute. So this is a better trap. So earlier we had the trap that was very flat. Very flat here. What did I just say earlier? You have the cupping pattern and you have the V pattern. This is the cupping pattern. I have a write-up on these. Let me see if I can grab that screenshot. This is from the write-up that I did many years ago on TradingView, but that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So that cupping pattern. Trend line is flat. Histogram has that cupping pattern. Those traps are very common. Massive block trade on the high here. 20, let me see, 1,300 contracts on ES. 600 contracts on NASDAQ. Those buy signals leading to a new high again. Another buy signal on the 30-minute trail here. Blue candle still on. That blue candle started showing way earlier. It started showing probably around 20 to 22. We have 20 minutes until that locks in. it will lock in the pivot at 24. The blue candle is a bottom pivot, so like volume and momentum are pivoting. They're shifting from one direction to another, or at least they're trying to. It's either it's happening already or there's a high likelihood of it happening. Or that volume and momentum shift. It's just another way of finding like support and resistance levels. So kind of like down here, you had 3 pivots back to back. So it's kind of telling you that this area right here had a high likelihood of the momentum shifting. And it did, right? Momentum shifted entirely. So these would be like smaller pivots. You had a pivot, momentum shifted, but not for very long. This one broke instantly. This one shifted for quite a while, then it broke. This pivot right here, this orange pivot going back to Wednesday, that is currently being tested. First test didn't like it too much. It kind of rolled off of it. Here's a second test. On NASDAQ, let's take a look. So NASDAQ shouldn't have one because we're way too close to the high. ES has one because you're pulling back. The last blue pivot on NASDAQ is way down here at the bottom. It damn near bottom ticked that low. So there's that trap on the 30-minute. You can see on NASDAQ, you have that cupping pattern. And then it hit the trail. So that's a combo signal where the Momo gives a cup and then the trail gives you a bounce there. One minute not looking great on kind of both. But NASDAQ putting in a potential bear div. I'd call it more like a weak high, not a bear div. Because in order to call it a bear div, you'd have to zoom out to all these highs here. Which is kind of there's a lot going on in between. I typically don't like to zoom out that far for bear divs. I would call it more a weak high. So kind of like a vertical distribution. Put in a weak high, fail, weak high, fail, weak high, fail, rinse and repeat, right? So weak high here, we're breaking the prior high, but we're instantly pulling back. So a little bit of a vertical distribution here on NASDAQ. I know you guys love to hear that term. Keep an eye on the trails and the 24 EMAs. NASDAQ, or sorry, I keep misspeaking today. ES Very sloppy price action today. More of a D shape on the open here. P shape if you include the overnight. But if you look at just the cash profile, more of a D shape, kind of a back and forth rotation here. I can show you on the 1 minute. If TradingView wants to load, of course. So that's since the open here. Very rotational, so be careful on these breakouts. Breakouts are failing. Weak high, weak lows. Kind of a bulldog, a little bit of a weird bulldog. We don't really look for bulldogs like this. I guess you could argue on the 1 minute it does have an impulse down. But on the higher time frames, it's closer to a high. We want bulldogs like down here, and this kind of is a bulldog, funny enough. Very sloppy price action. We like to see the Momo in kind of like a sine wave, right? If you guys know what a sine wave is, kind of like just a very clean waveform, and it's probably more so like this. When the Momo gets very sloppy, kind of like what it's doing right here, it's kind of a do not care zone. We don't really care what's happening here. The only reason you would care is if you're trading the rotations, if you're selling the value high, buying the value low. Yeah, so I showed you earlier. Let me show you again. It's doing exactly what I just said about the block trades. So earlier I showed you these block trades, and I said that it's not good to have block trades on high day because it's grabbing liquidity. Look at this block trade. Now there's a massive one on high of day. There is no follow through on any of these block trades. Every single one of those block trades have put in a weak high. Very indicative of a vertical distribution, where they are distributing to grab that liquidity. It's not really a strong uptrend. By the way, I appreciate you guys all coming back. I know our viewership numbers are going to be a little bit low today because of the dropped stream. I appreciate you guys finding the new one. Sorry for all the issues. Great way to start the week. Start on Monday and instantly my mic doesn't work. Unfortunately, you guys did miss a good trade there. I couldn't commentate it because my mic wasn't working. There was a decent VWAP trade on NASDAQ right at the open. That was like the only thing you guys missed. The other thing I was going to talk about was the overnight fade, which we're still watching for. We're still keeping an eye on a potential overnight fade. It's more so happening on ES. You can see the overnight is extremely one-directional. So if we lose the P shape, that is an overnight fade. If you guys are just coming in, what I was saying earlier was I may have to push back the release of the first video in that series to next week. I will let you guys know definitively tomorrow. We'll see if we can get it done tomorrow. A little bit of a 1 minute pinch to the downside here, trying to break this D-shaped chop. We'll see if it can get through it. It has failed to break balance every time today. I will say this is one of the only pushes today that NASDAQ and ES are kind of lining up. So the sell pressure is a little bit stronger on this one. Oh, did I post the alert for the new stream or just the one that broke? Let me see. Just the one that broke. Let me fix that, sorry. If you guys ever need to find my streams, they're unlisted on YouTube. If you ever are looking for a older stream, you can always find them on Twitter or on my Discord stream alerts channel. I never delete live streams, I just unlist them. So I don't have like 1,000 videos on my channel. Okay, is it going to be enough to break through VWAP this time on NASDAQ? We have not been able to break through VWAP the entire day, so this trend has been decently stable. It is definitely a vertical distribution, but it has been stable on the responsive buy side. Here's that value low on ES as well. Here's that 5-minute pivot. So a lot of support here if they do want to bounce it. You also, yet again, have that 30-minute trail, giving you a second buy signal now. And what I mean by buy signal is the trail gives you these buy the dip or sell the rally signals. It's not like an exact signal where you're just pressing the button blindly. It's more so telling you that it is sweeping the trail, which is typically around the 20 to 24 moving average. It's not exactly a moving average, but it's pretty close. So it's a responsive average. It's basically sweeping the responsive average. Kind of like what we did here. We had 4 buy signals on Friday, and then you launched off of it, obviously, into today. It's basically, it's kind of the same theory as like if you pull back and retest the 24 and you sweep it and go back up. That's kind of what it's showing you. By the way, if you're wondering why we're showing these charts today instead of Addis, every other Monday, we do what's called Momo Monday, where I'm showing the indicators more so you guys can ask questions if you have any. I know a lot of our members are using these indicators, so I try to explain some signals as they come in so you guys know how to read them. That trap is yet again playing out here. You're kind of trapping into VWAP, recovering the trail here. So you have this cupping pattern below the trail. So you reclaim the trail there. Not so much on the Momo. You do have a cup, but you didn't have that flat trend line. So it's like half a trap on the Momo. More so a trap on the OTS. These indicators are looking at completely different things. That's why when they have the combo signals, like when they have the purple shading, the blue pivot, the gold shading, the orange pivot, and their signals kind of go hand in hand, they're very strong because they are looking at completely different data. So when they're both telling you the same thing, it's a pretty good signal. The Momo does not care about volume whatsoever. There is no volume calculation that goes into the Momo at all. And the OTS is heavily dependent on volume data, which is why I created the OTS after the Momo, because the Momo had some holes, right? The holes were the volume. They're basically designed to go together as one indicator. They're just created as two indicators. Looks like search and destroy. Yeah, we've had that for the last week or two. It's September. They love the search and destroy algorithms in September. How do the markets normally react to government shutdowns? They don't react too much. The government shutdowns are mostly political. They typically go away after like a week or two, if that. It's mostly a politics thing, not a market-driven thing. Now, if it's like a real shutdown and there's no, how do I say this? If there's no like compromise and they're not going to reopen very, very soon, then it becomes a problem. But recently, over the last few years, the market doesn't react too much. I think the market understands that it's mostly political. I mean, we'll see it. We'll see it here soon. I rant about it every single time it happens. But soon we'll have the debt ceiling, right? And everyone always comes in my chat and they're like, "Oh my God, we're hitting the debt ceiling." It's like the permabear thing, right? The permabears start using that as a narrative. Like, "Oh my God, the debt ceiling's here again. It's the end of the world." And then not even like a week later, they raise the debt ceiling again. So it's something that the bears try to use as this like ridiculously bearish narrative that the market just doesn't care about. The debt ceiling basically does not exist because they're going to raise it every single time. And it's like the government shutdown basically does not exist because they're going to reopen it right away anyway. But that's as much as I can say without getting into the political side of it. It's just not very market. It doesn't manipulate the market very much. Oh yeah, I wanted to cover something here. So this is possibly one of my worst trades. It's a good trade, but possibly one of my worst trades of the year. It probably is my worst trade of the year. For a good trade, it's a terrible exit. So I told you guys that I was going to give it a couple of attempts below 29 and I was going to get out. And that's because I absolutely fear gaps. I hate trading gaps. One of my least favorite patterns to trade. Because you never know where it's going to stop, right? It's really hard to determine when that gap is going to find support because there is no value there. There's very little value. I mean, you can use old value, but there's very little, if any, value inside of that gap because it's a gap, right? So I told you guys that if it tested below 29 a couple of times, if it didn't buy up immediately, I was going to get out of it. That's what I did. So I got out of it at 29, and then not even, this is my luck with trading stocks. This is why I hate trading stocks. Not even like 24 hours later, they have another headline, and they get a headline on Wednesday. I forget what the exact headline was. But they had a really good headline on Wednesday that started pumping it again, and then they hit my target. My target was around 35. So we got in this around 24. We got out at 29. Very good exit. I'm not mad about that. But I am mad about how bad the exit was. Like, very good exit profit-wise, but technicals, I got screwed on that, unfortunately. I damn near bottom ticked that low. Like I said, it was possibly one of my worst exits of the year. So I wanted to cover that so you guys can kind of see what I did wrong here. Where was it? There's not really a whole lot, like, at the time that could have told me that it was bottoming, because it looked like it was going to get into a pretty strong down move and start filling in that gap. There's no buy momentum. Like, look at this pullback here. You gapped up, you put in a top pivot, there's absolutely no buy pressure on any of these lows. Every single one of these lows puts in lower highs. So I finally just said, I'm done. I don't feel like looking at it anymore. And we went ahead and closed it. Now, after I did that, there was a really good signal. You had a bottom shading. You had some pivots. But unfortunately, that all happened after I closed it. I could have reopened it, but I don't like to trade like that, so it is what it is. But yeah, if you guys took that trade, it is hitting our target now. Our target was around 30 to 35. But yeah, that trade is over for me. So I'm not going to be updating you guys on that anymore. So if you guys would like to still hold that, the next target I would say is probably around 40. I'd say before this little cluster right here. So there's a big cluster right here. You probably want to get out before that. So I'd say around like 39 to 40 if you guys are still holding. But yeah, my entry was 24, exited 29. So not the end of the world, but obviously if I waited 2 more days, it would have been better. Well, you win some, you lose some. It's all good. We move on to the next one. Stuff like that really used to piss me off. And I used to think about it like every single day for weeks. But nowadays I'm just like, whatever, move on to the next trade. Who cares? I'm not going to complain about making money. Yeah, it's our nation. That's where I wanted to exit, man. I wanted to exit around 34 to 35. I hate trading gaps, and that right there is exactly why I hate trading gaps. Because my style of trading does not work very well in gaps. Because there's not really a defined area that I can look for, like all of my signals, my momentum shifts, right? There is no value there to find that momentum shift. It's just going through an LVN, and it's not even an LVN, it is literally a gap, right? But yeah, it's one of my struggles in trading. And that right there is a prime example of how I struggle on that. I basically bottom ticked that move, unfortunately. But hey, I'm not perfect. I'm not a robot, so it is what it is. Not exactly a rollover top, but very close to a rollover top here. Probably a 5-minute rollover. Yeah, it's kind of a 5-minute rollover top. The sweep is not very strong, and the sweep really determines how strong the rollover top is, because if you think about what a rollover top is, you're basically just squeezing out the sweep. So if the sweep is not very strong, the rollover top is not very strong. So we're kind of in like a weak rollover here. It's more of a vertical distribution, unfortunately. I feel like every single time I do these damn Momo Mondays, we're in like a D shape or we're in a vertical distribution. I have not been able to show you guys a Momo Monday on like any other type of day. It would have been nice to have it last Monday. Last Monday was a very trendy day. It's like every single time we do it every other Monday, and it's a vertical distribution or a D shape every time. And these days are like the days that I least like to commentate. If I wasn't streaming, these are the days that I put like the least amount of brain power into. There's not a whole lot that you have to look at during days like this. You mark up like 2 levels on your chart and that's it. You're like looking around the extremes and then you don't care about the chop in the middle. And the problem is the chop in the middle is 80 to 90% of the day. So you're really only paying attention like 10% of the time. Yeah, it is because Mondays are normally choppy, yeah. I just know the first time, I'm like, all right, guys, we'll do it on Wednesday instead of Monday. And then that Monday will be a really trendy day. Any pattern on ES? No, ES is a D shape. You're just rotating. You're just rotating a D shape. Well, that's what I normally do on regular days, is I just pull up the charts and show you guys the pattern as it's happening. But on days like this, I like to leave them on the screen so you guys can kind of see how it's flowing. What do you mean, let's do this? What are you talking about? How do I, what chart setups? Oh, you mean the pattern for Intel that we were trading, like the accumulation pattern? I don't really have like a software or anything that I scan for. I just look through charts basically. I just go back to names that that I that I know about that I like to trade. Even ones that I hate to trade, like Intel. I just kind of click through charts and just look. There's no real system to it. The other one that's on our list right now is Rivian, which had a pretty good breakout last week. But you are topping out quite a bit. I do not like this bear div. There's a really nasty bear div here. It's in a really dangerous place because if it wants to put in a lower high, this is where it's going to stop. It has a really nice weekly pinch. So this could be the breakout of the accumulation, breaking out of all these levels. But is it enough, right? We don't know just yet. It's kind of at that level that it has to determine, are we going right back down into this accumulation, continue the accumulation for God knows how long, or is this pinch finally going to be enough? We don't know just yet. We'll probably know by the end of the week. If it's not breaking out by the end of the week, it's probably going to accumulate longer. But yeah, that was pretty much all on our list. What else did we have? We had S on our list. That one I didn't like as much. CFLT was on our list. Wolf, which is Petco, I believe. Yeah, Petco. MPW. And then ARCG was one my friend was looking at. I didn't really like it too much. The number one on the list right now is Rivian. It was American Eagle and then Intel. American Eagle played out. We took our money on American Eagle. Intel played out. We took our money on that. Sadly, we could have waited a few more days and made 20% more. Unfortunate there. All good. And then Rivian's the next one up. Yeah, if you guys find patterns like that, let me know. Tamer, I have no idea, man. I couldn't give you an educated answer on anything like that. One thing I think that's more of a political question, so I wouldn't get into it anyway. But even if I did talk about politics, I don't know anything about that. I don't keep track of European like laws or politics. So I have no idea. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about, guys. The PDT rule. We were talking about the PDT rule being changed. It actually got approved. But here's the catch. It has to pass the SEC. And if I remember correctly in the past, this has happened a couple times. Where FINRA, the people who put the PDT rule in place, they have approved rule changes, but the SEC has not. So FINRA actually did approve the changing of the PDT day trading rule for stocks and options. We just have to see if it passes the SEC. If it passes the SEC, then the PDT rule will finally be changed for the first time in like 20 years. I could not find a definitive article on what the exact changes are. People were like fluffing up these articles like crazy. So I'm just going to wait and see. The only thing that I could find out was they're changing it to like an intraday margin type of thing, like futures uses. So futures is the same way, where it just checks how much money you have in your account, and it's a much lower margin than like the current PDT rule. But I could not get a definitive answer on what the exact changes are. But we'll keep an eye on that. We should have a yes or no pretty soon. If it does get approved, we'll probably do like a small account challenge later in the year. UPS, I don't like UPS. This isn't the pattern. So the pattern that we like to trade is what happens after this pattern. So this is the downward accumulation, or sorry, downward impulse. We need the accumulation. There's no accumulation here. So I don't like this chart. Possible breakout here on ES. Keep an eye on that. Yeah, I don't buy companies when they're bleeding out like that. I buy them more on an accumulation. 30-minute trail still acting as support. That pivot just got tested like to the tick. It is holding for now. Any catalyst for Rivian movement? Not yet. That's what we're waiting on. Typically, this is why we like to trade that pattern. And you've seen it on Intel. You've seen it on American Eagle. Happened on both of them. That pattern is like the big boys accumulating before the catalyst comes out. So we're waiting on the catalyst for Rivian, if there is going to be one. Good morning, Lee. Yeah, we were able to capture like a 40% move on American Eagle. It would have been a 40% move on Intel if I waited like 3 more days. We got more of like a 25% move. And that's on shares. If you're trading that on options, it's definitely a different story. That's hundreds of percent. I prefer to trade shares on those positions. They're easier to monitor. Failed rotation? Yes, it is. Yep. So going into a 1-minute pinch on both ES and NASDAQ, you do have that bottom shading on NASDAQ, but unfortunately, you are in that vertical distribution, so it's just really choppy here. Rivian had a commercial during a Sunday night football game. That's not strong enough for the catalyst that we need, but that's a good sign, I guess. One thing I have noticed is I don't drive very often, but when I do leave, I have noticed I see more and more of them on the road. When I go out towards the data centers, I'm used to seeing a lot of Teslas out there, and I'm seeing more and more Rivians. But I try not to trade based on stuff like that. That's very anecdotal. Amazon saved Rivian with that massive order. Did they like use them for their trucks or something? Or their vans? Which is not always a good sign, ordinary. It's like that saying goes in business. What is it? It's like the last dollars you spend are on marketing or something like that. If you see people start to ramp up their marketing, it usually means they're doing bad. Yeah, they need like a Matthew McConaughey. How he does like the Lincoln stuff. They need to find their actor. Okay, the pinch is kind of topped out already, which is unfortunate because this is like the weak high area where if it wants to put in a weak high, it's going to stall here. Keep it on that ADMA, keep it on that trail. If they're trying to break balance here, they need to stay above those pretty much entirely. You do not want to see any sell pressure below those averages. Tesla's having problems seeing a lot of those YouTube commercials. Yeah. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's like maybe they got a lot of money, so they're marketing, but not usually a good sign. Where is Rivian based? Do you guys know? I can just look it up if you guys don't know. Just wondering if you guys know off the top of your head. Like, are they a US company? Illinois? Right down the street from you. Go knock on their door, ask how their sales are doing. Here's that pullback, possibly rotating back down to the value low. Value low is around 21. Well, you said San Francisco, he said Illinois, so I guess one of them's correct. Rivian's deal with Amazon is for 100,000 electric vans by 2030. Over 30,000 are already in service with Amazon. Nice. When did that catalyst come out? Was that old news? This 30-minute is starting to look a little dangerous here. Lower high, lower low, trying to push up and break the lower high structure, putting in lower highs locally, and failing the ADMA locally as well. So look for the prior bar high there, the PBH. You have that lower high. Headquarters in California, gotcha. I think it was Rivian. I don't remember. Was Rivian the one that had the SPAC in like 2021, 2021, somewhere around there? And their SPAC was like blowing up and everybody was trading it? Because whatever SPAC that was, we were trading in Discord. And it was pretty funny. We had a Discord member that used his profits from that trade to pre-order a I think it was Rivian. It might have been a different company. I can't remember. If you guys were in the Discord at the time, you probably know what I'm talking about. No, I think, was it Lucid? It might have been Lucid. TLT, yeah, I've been keeping an eye on TLT every now and then. The bond market is very weird right now. Yeah, I think it was Lucid. It's hard to remember that many years back. Yeah, I think it was this one. They had a SPAC, and they exploded, and then after the SPAC, it kind of died. SPAC trading was huge back in during COVID. We were trading the hell out of SPACs in Discord. Yeah, Nikola was one as well. Okay, back into a bearish pinch here. Here's that rotation we were talking about, down to 21. You can see the pinch got topped out very early. And now we're bearishly pinching. Yeah, the fake truck company, yeah. Nikola was really annoying because we basically called the top on Nikola. We were trading that at the time. And we could not short them. It was like impossible to short. You couldn't get shares to short. There were like no options to short them. When the options finally came out and you could short them, they were so overpriced it wasn't even worth it because the volatility was like sky high. So even though you would call the top and short it, you would still lose money because the volatility would come off the contract. We were talking about their reports in Discord back in the day and how they were fluffing their earnings by putting in their earnings that they were selling, what was it, solar panels to themselves. Like their owner was buying solar panels for like the factory or something weird. I don't remember the exact story. But basically they were lying about revenue by selling, I think it was solar panels to themselves. Made absolutely no sense. A car company exploding when they did not manufacture a single vehicle. That was the stock market in COVID. The dumbest shit you've ever seen. Here's that rotation down to 21 being completed. So now we do the same thing, rinse and repeat. If you cannot find value below 20, look for that to curl back up, possibly back to 27. Like Andy in the office buying the company's own paper to meet quota. Exactly, yeah. It basically was an office skit. Yeah, I remember that too. They were like, "Oh, look at it! Look at our truck moving," and it was literally just like in neutral, rolling down a hill. Here's a blue pivot on that value low, trying to put in a new one here. They pushed it down the hill and started the cameras. It was, yeah. That was like the biggest Ponzi scheme movement in a stock I think we saw during COVID. People were just all piling into that stock. I mean, you could have made money on the way up. That thing was exploding for a long time. It's unfortunate you couldn't make a lot of money on the way down. It's probably really choppy today because we're entering the end of the month and there's no news today. Today's just a an FOMC day. There's a bunch of Fed talks. Pretty much every other day this week has very high impact data. So today's just kind of a wait and see day. You honestly probably could have taken a long weekend today and just not traded. We have the end of the month tomorrow, which obviously means the start of the month is on Wednesday. Both of those days are probably going to be pretty weird. High impact data every single day this week, except for today. Yeah, he did get in trouble. It was like a slap on the wrist. The usual. Yeah, trader, I haven't seen anything about that, to be honest. Okay, starting to flip this pivot here on the 30-minute, flipping that pivot into resistance. If we stay below that trail, possibly flipping that trail red, which we have not done for quite a while, a couple of days. Momentum still not very weak. It's like sitting on a cliff. We've seen this pattern many times before, where the 30-minute is just sitting on a cliff. It's waiting to see what happens. Yeah, somebody was saying to look at that stock. I don't really trade healthcare stocks like that. They just have too much they have too much inherent risk of like just bad headlines coming out, like lawsuits or just I don't know, just negative catalysts. There's just so many opportunities for negative catalysts. Same reason I don't trade airlines. Now, this company is massive. This is still one of the largest companies in the Dow Jones. So, is it a good long term investment? Probably is. It's been down quite a bit, so you're probably getting it at a good price. I just don't trade stocks like this. Holding on to VWAP on NASDAQ, a little bit of a bottom combo. You have a blue pivot and a purple shading. Same thing on ES, blue pivot, purple shading, right on the value low. Value low rotation completed, value high rotation goes into 27. We also have a poor high. Yeah, stocks have a lot of overnight risk. And that's just swing trading, right? That's why I prefer to focus mostly on day trading futures because you don't have that overnight risk. I think if you're long term holding, then obviously you have overnight risk, but you don't care, right? You're minimizing that risk by trading it much more. Um, you're looking much farther out, right? So these little pullbacks you don't really care about. The swing trading where you're trading only for like maybe a few weeks, few days, few months at a time, that risk of that overnight is pretty strong. You see how the Momo's getting wavy now? It has that sine wave kind of formation. That's what you want to see on these rotations. Here, let me show you this on the order flow. So this is the value low, basically like right at the bottom. And you can see sell pressure, sell pressure, sell pressure, sell pressure. But then you get to that value low and you finish that rotation, absolutely no sell pressure below it. So right now we are looking for either a rotation back to the value high or a failure to rotate if it cannot make it to the value high. Those are the only things you're paying attention to right now. It's going to be hard to fail to rotate because the rotation is only like 5 points. It's like 20 to 27 or 22 to 27. You're kind of failing right now. You're not holding any value above 25. Keep an eye on this this 5-minute low structure right here. If you start to lose these 5-minute lows, then it will be a failure to rotate. Gold is still going, yeah. I think a lot of the uncertainty right now with like the dollar market and the sorry, I'm looking at something real quick. Bitcoin's not doing too bad, bounced a little bit. Dollar's pretty flat today. Gold is up 1.6, 1.9. Yeah, it's just uncertainty, I think. A lot of uncertainty up here typically helps gold. You probably have those perma bears too that are fearing for like the war news. That helps gold as well. Perma bears are perma bulls on gold. Perma bears on equities are perma bulls on gold. Okay, you are pushing these 5-minute lows here, so they are failing a 5-point rotation. That's pretty interesting. They only have to bounce 5 points and they can't do it. They only bounced, I think, 3 points there. Okay, so now right here, we're back into a potential break of balance. You failed to rotate, you're back below the value low. So now you have to watch the EMAs, make sure you're still trending. As long as it's trending below the value low, then obviously it's a break of balance. Other thing you want to watch for is divergence. So we are putting in a potential bull div here. We don't know just yet. It's not really putting in that second peak, that second fractal. But watch out for that potential divergence. Other thing you're watching for is potential sweeps. You could go down, then come right back up and sweep it. But right now, it's okay right now. They're not really showing any obvious warning signs just yet. Just keep an eye on the ADMA, see if you want to keep trending down here. Keep an eye on VWAP. VWAP coming up on NASDAQ at 896. We don't see a break of trend. We don't see a sweep. We don't see a divergence. So this break of balance so far is okay. Keep an eye on that VWAP on NASDAQ. That would be the next level that would cause this break of balance to fail. This is if you're looking at the larger picture, this is what we talked about earlier. This is the overnight fade. So overnight is very one directional. It kind of started fixing itself, pulled back a little bit. If you continue to lose this value low, possibly the overnight low, giving up this overnight. NASDAQ, pretty much the same story, but it didn't really see a lot of weakness on the open. The open was actually pretty strong. All right, failure to rotate, turning into a break of balance here. There's VWAP on NASDAQ. Keep an eye on that ADMA. Still not seeing any reversal signs, no sweeps, no divergence. Potential 1 minute pivot here. We'll see if that locks in. Good morning, Fatal. I know we were a little late today. We had some technical difficulties, so we'll do an Apex giveaway later towards the end of the stream for you guys that stuck around. Appreciate you guys hanging out. If you guys are just coming in, you didn't hear me earlier, we might have to push back the release of that video. It was supposed to come out on Wednesday. It might still come out on Wednesday. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. We do have to finish up some editing. So yeah, might have to push it back a week. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. It's inspired by MACD, but it does not use any formulas or values or anything like that that the MACD uses. But yes, it is inspired by it. I took the look of the MACD, and that's kind of what I wanted to make it look like. Also, the Awesome Oscillator, we were talking about that last week by Bill Williams. The Awesome Oscillator was his like momentum indicator, inspired by that as well. But yeah, the formulas are completely created by me. That does not use any formulas by any other indicators. The logic is quite literally built from scratch. Yeah, Fatal, for some reason, man, just technology. My mic was working yesterday, turned on the computer today, and it wasn't working. But yeah, Marcus, to answer your question a little bit further, it's Momo is short for momentum. It's just a momentum indicator. So it's telling you short-term momentum, which is the histogram, the bars, and the long-term, quote-unquote long-term. It's a 1 minute chart, so it's not long-term as in like days or weeks. It's long-term on a 1 minute. So it's looking at the short term and the longer term on the line. The line is the longer term. And then it gives you a bunch of signals based on how they're moving together. It's used the same way you use any other momentum oscillator. You're looking for divergence, you're looking for shifts in momentum, you're looking for like weak highs, weak lows, traps, that sort of thing. This trend is still stable. So this is what we would call a fish hook pattern on the Momo. You see how it has that cupping pattern on the bottom and then it levels out? When it levels out like that, it's entering a stable trend. So this trend is very stable as we can look at it on price. You have a purple shading, which is saying that if it wants to bottom, if it wants to pull back, this is a good area to do so. Kind of how the gold shading set it on the top here. If the trend is extremely stable, like a vertical distribution or like a strong trend, you'll keep having these shadings. It will turn off, turn back on, turn off, turn back on. You're basically looking for a bottom. You're looking for lower value here. Think about it as like a take profit zone. It's not exactly a reversal. It can be, but it's more so a take profit. Man, why are those alerts still so loud? Bearish block trades down here. They are blowing out my eardrums because they're not decreasing in volume for some reason. A lot of bearish blocks down here, which is a little bit worrying for the trend because we saw the same thing on the buy side, and all the bullish blocks on the high of day were on the high of day, right? They didn't go higher. They didn't have any confirmation. So maybe we're seeing the same thing on these lower blocks. We'll see. Are they going to get any follow through? $30 starting to look very dangerous here. We are losing the trend. We're losing the trail, the EMAs, putting in lower highs, lower lows. So 30-minute structure very clearly bearish. It's a responsive bearish. It's not very aggressive. I say that because you can see when it breaks the lows, it responds by bouncing pretty aggressively. You're not just like going straight down. You're not just one time framing. So this is a responsive bearish market. The difference between a responsive bearish market and an aggressive one, we always talk about one time framing. If you had a market that was like this, where you just had these downward candles over and over and over, that is more aggressive, right? Because they're breaking the lows and they're not bouncing aggressively after the breaks. So that would be an aggressive bearish market. So same bearish bias, but you're aggressive. Whereas something like this is more responsive because you're breaking the lows, but then you're bouncing aggressively. Like right here, you broke the low, you bounced aggressively. So it's like we always talk about. You want to know which bias the market is in, but you also want to know who's in control. Is it the aggressive traders or the responsive traders? Now, if you look at the 1 minute chart, it's a different story. The 1 minute is more aggressive, obviously. We're staying below the 80 MA. You're damn near one time framing on the 1 minute. But on the larger picture, the 30 minute, it's more responsive. Now that could change here. We are holding below this trend. You're looking like you're falling off a cliff. You can make it signal on the bar close or when it signals right when the bar turns the pivot color. So like right now it's turning blue. So if you set the alert once per bar, it will just activate the second it turns blue. If you set it on bar close, it will not activate until it turns until it closes blue. So you can do one or the other. Okay, so here's that pullback. Like I was saying, the purple shading is not always a strong bottom. It could just be a take profit. So here's that take profit. We'll see if it can flip the trail. That's when it becomes a strong bottom, right? When you start to shift the actual structure. You start losing the EMAs. You start losing the trail. You flip them green. I always use 70 for all my volume profiles. And this is that responsive market coming back in that I talked about earlier. So you see on the 30 minute, the aggressive traders are not doing very good. The aggressive sellers, unless they get out immediately, they're getting pulled back pretty aggressively. That's why you can like feel like you're on the right side of the trend, but you're still losing money because you're not understanding who's in control of that trend. Is the aggressive traders or the passive guys? Very important to understand both. And yet again, this is what we just said about block trades. Let me show you this for the third time here. The block trades are grabbing liquidity today. They're not seeing a lot of follow through. Massive block trade on the high, no follow through. This block trade, you did have a bottom. Now we have follow through on this one. Block trade on the low again. So these block trades are coming in and then like instantly being reversed. We talk about that in the block trade video, where some of them get confirmation right away, and then some of them are just grabbing liquidity. You can't just blindly trade block trades. That's correct, Gunk. So think about it like this. The like I always talk about in my like trading, everything's a zone, right? So the pivot is kind of the entire candle. Like this is the pivot zone. But if you want to be more exact, that's what I added the level for. So the level is like the pivot line, but what's creating the pivot is the entire candle. So the line only extends when the candle has been alive, right? It extends as long as there's not a new pivot. There is a pivot right here. It's very hard to see because it's a doji candle. But there is a new pivot right here. You can see the little bit of a blue line there. So that's why this line is no longer extending. So same thing with this orange pivot here. It goes all the way until there's a new orange candle. So it's just updating with the newest pivot, basically. It doesn't mean the pivot is dead. You can still use those pivots when they're turned off. Like, for example, yeah, kind of like right here. Here's a good example right here. So here's an old pivot. It did turn off because of this pivot, but it's still a strong level, damn near to the tick on that level right there. So you can still use the old ones, you just have to like manually extend them. And I have to do that because your chart would just look like a million lines if I didn't have them turn off. Okay, so now our 30-minute is showing a loss in momentum. We found the high, basically. It's locking in that high. So now we're getting slightly bearish on the 30-minute, obviously. Lower lows, lower highs. And these were, in fact, stair-stepping pivots. You have a pivot, lost, almost retested. Then you lost this one, retested. So those are stair-stepping levels, right? Little supports that turn into resistance right away. Yeah, Gunk, that's a problem that a lot of people run into. If you want to turn off the candle colors, don't turn off the candle colors right here, because that will turn off the pivots. It will turn off the pivot candles. If you want to turn off just the candle colors, the red and green, do it right here. So turn these off. These two are the pivots. Unfortunately, I didn't name them when I created this indicator back in the day. And if I want to go back and name them now, I basically have to recode the indicator because it's so outdated. This is running on PineScript like version 2 or 3, I think. They're on version like 7. But like right here, we can see my price line is blue, and there's blue on my on my scale. So I know that this candle is turning into a pivot. Putting in a bull div, at least trying to. It's not confirmed yet. All right, guys, let's start the giveaway now. So let me get the random number generator. All right, go ahead and pick a number between 1 and 100. Only type one number. If you type multiple numbers, you're disqualified. I'll give you guys until 11:40. I'll give you guys 10 minutes, or about 9 minutes. This is going to be for an Apex account. Just make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the video. Appreciate you guys all supporting the channel. I'm going to give you guys a code that you can use on any Apex account, any size. And it will give you 1 month free. After that month, it will go to full price. So if you do not pass that account in that first month, make sure you go back to the brew code if you want a discount. So pick a number between 1 and 100. I will pull it at 11:40. Make sure to have your email ready as well, because if you win, I'm going to need you to send me an email so I can confirm it's you, and then I can send the code that way. Turning into a 30-minute pinch here, getting very dangerous on the 30-minute. You were sitting on a cliff, aka the trail there. The trail was flat. You were sitting on it. It gave you 3 buy signals. They all failed to give you a higher high. They gave you some pretty good bounces, but they did not make a higher high. So it bounced from 22 to 30, 22 to 31 again, and then this one tried to bounce and then failed. So that cliff, you are now kind of jumping off the cliff on the S, getting a little weak. Yeah, I've seen people do that modern. I don't think I have that. I don't know how to have that set up. I don't have that set up. Is it just a website? I don't know if that fits the audience here, to be honest. I think that's more of a Zoomer thing. Very slightly brain rot. It is decently fun to watch every now and then. I've seen streams do that, though. It's not terrible. Yeah, I used to have a bot that would do like giveaway stuffs in chat. But they changed how the bot works, and it wants like a lot more permissions to your channel now, and I just don't like that, so I just turned it off. I don't like having a bot that could like possibly be hacked into and then my channel just gets deleted. All right, I'll give you guys 5 more minutes. Pick a number between 1 and 100. Only pick one number, please. More than that, you'll be disqualified. When I pull the number generator onto the screen, it's going to have a number on it. Ignore that. I did not pull that number. That's just the default one. You guys will see me pull the new one. There's 3 people with the same number. Well, if you guys win, we'll have to roll it again. $30-minute low being taken out, needs to stay below 709 or it creates a small sweep here. Don't start changing numbers. That's going to be way too hard to keep track of. You guys can select the same number. It don't matter if you guys have the same number. I'm just going to roll it again with you guys as the winners. Still holding that stable trend on the 1 minute here, holding on to that ADMA. You have a little bit of a 1 time frame on the 5 minute. 5 minute highs being protected. All right, you guys have 1 minute left if you have not picked a number. Keep an eye on the 24 EMA here on the 1 minute. VWAP is 720. Watch these VWAPs if we do start to bounce. Watch this 30-minute low, a little bit of a sweep if it holds above 709. Very weak sweep. I'll show you on the delta here. There's basically nobody trapped down here. It's just kind of exhaustion. All right, let me go ahead and roll it. Like I said, I'm going to pull this onto the screen. It's going to have a number on it. Ignore that number. Sorry if you picked that number. But that's not the number. All right, here's the actual number. 75. Did anyone pick 75? $75, $75. I see $76, $77. Thank you guys. Don't pick another number, by the way. I'm just gonna keep rolling it until somebody wins. Is there a 75? I don't think there is. There's 76 and 77. If you picked 75, let me know. I don't think anyone did. Am I missing anybody? I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna roll it again. I do not see a 75. 48. Did somebody pick 48? 47, 47. You guys are close today. 47. There's 3 people who picked 47. Nobody picked 48. Let me double check. Yeah, no 48. All right, let me roll it again. 31. Do we have a winner this time? I feel like I'm playing bingo. Oh, 31. Okay, we have at least one person. Is there more than one? Oh, 31. There's 2 winners. Dennis and DMH. Did I miss anybody else? Dennis and DMH. Are you guys still here? Okay, you both are still here. Let me just triple check. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Okay, I think it's just you two. Okay, so I'm going to do 1 through 10, and I'm just going to keep rolling it until one of you guys wins. So please pick a number 1 through 10. Don't pick the same number. All right, 5 and 1. All right, I'm going to keep rolling it until one of you guys wins. Oh, 1, DMH. DMH is the winner. All right, congrats, man. Here is my email. So send me an email. Just let me know, hey, it's me. I'm going to send you a random number on your email just to confirm it's you. And then just type that random number into chat. But yeah, guys, we'll be having some massive giveaways over the next month or so. So be sure to stop by the stream and the videos that we're going to be releasing. We were supposed to start the series this Wednesday. No promises on that. I might have to push that out a week. I want to make sure the video is like fully polished. That would be the absolute latest. I'm not just going to keep pushing it out again and again and again. It's either going to be this Wednesday or next Wednesday at the latest. I'm going to try my best to get it out by this Wednesday. But it honestly might get pushed back a week. But yeah, we'll do a laptop giveaway. We're doing Apex giveaways. I spoke to Addis. They're potentially going to get involved as well. We're not going to be talking about order flow until like the end of the series. So I'm going in order from like beginner to advanced, and that's going to be like the end of the series. Yeah, I spoke to the company that I'm going to be getting the laptop from for the giveaway, and they said they pretty much shipped everywhere internationally. If there's some kind of problem that if you guys win that giveaway and you can't receive the laptop, I'll just give you the cash equivalent. Did you email me? Who won? It was DMH. Let me know when you emailed me. I don't see it yet. Jake, I'm not going to talk about it just yet, but it's gonna be pricey. Don't you worry. It will be able to run pretty much anything. It's gonna be a massive giveaway. It's gonna be probably the largest giveaway I've ever done on the channel. No change in structure, guys. It's just this, it's basically a downward accumulation now. So this morning we were vertical distribution, and now it's the same exact pattern to the downside. So if you guys don't like this pattern, unfortunately, you are getting it on both sides. You got it on the way up and the way down. You sent one? Let me see. Yeah, sorry, my email's sometimes pretty slow. Can you send me another one? I'm not seeing it. I don't know if it's just not loading. Double check that you sent it to the right address, admin@oasistrading.io. But I'm not seeing it. Maybe you put .com or something. It could be on my end, to be honest. My email server is very slow. Yeah, at the end of the day, Jake, you could just sell the laptop for its cash value. I really want someone who like needs a laptop for trading or like needs a workstation, hopefully to win the giveaway, that will actually use it and not just sell it. But I'm not going to dictate who can participate. So if you guys already have a computer or something, then if you get lucky and win, then that's out of my hands. You sent it again? Let me double check. Yeah, sorry, man. It's probably on my end. Okay, there we go. I got that one. I'm going to send you a random number. Just type that number in chat just so I can 100% know it's you. Our community's pretty good. No one's tried to cheat just yet, but I know there's always going to be that one day someone's going to try to cheat. Yeah, I haven't 100% covered like the giveaway details just yet, like how to get entered and whatnot. I'll probably be talking about that tomorrow, just in case the video comes out on Wednesday. But basically, you guys are going to be able to enter for free. So if you're not signing up for like Apex accounts and all that stuff, you're still going to be able to enter. So I'm going to have ways for everybody to enter just for free. And then people who do sign up for like Apex and Discord and all that other stuff, you guys will just get extra entries, right? So basically, it's just going to be like be subscribed to the channel, post comments on the videos. So there's going to be 5 videos. Every video, if you put a comment on that video, that will be a ticket basically. So as long as you're subscribed, as long as you're liking the video, putting a comment on the video, you'll have minimum 5 entries. And then from that point, we're going to do a standard raffle style like we always do with the Apex giveaways at the end of the month. So if you guys sign up for Apex accounts using our code, you'll get a ticket per account. So the size is not going to matter. I'm going to take away the 25Ks just so people don't sign up for the lowest account just to get entered in the raffle. But anything 50K or higher, you're going to get a ticket. So up to 20 more tickets, obviously, if you're doing 20 accounts. Discord members, you guys are going to get tickets as well for being a Discord member. So there's going to be many ways to get entered in the raffle. Yeah, you'll have ways for free, and you'll have bonuses for supporting the channel, obviously. And small disclaimer, Apex is not involved in any giveaways that we do outside of these Apex account giveaways. They're not involved in the laptop. They're not involved in the Discord, anything like that. It is all coming out of my pocket. Gotcha, DMH. Let me go ahead and send that code to you. Let me finish up the stream real quick, and then I'll send that over. So right now, guys, this is turning from a responsive downward move into an aggressive downward move. So keep an eye on this 30-minute here. If it's more responsive, you are going to try to sweep back above these 30-minute lows, and then you're going to respond to these averages, right? The passive traders are going to bring it down. If it's more aggressive, like I showed you guys earlier, it's going to be more of a one time frame where you have a down candle, you break the low, down candle, and you don't test those highs. That's more of an aggressive trend. So up until this point, it has been responsive. We broke the low, retrace, broke the low, retrace. Now we are getting aggressive because you are losing the value low of this P shape. This is the overnight fade that we talked about earlier. Here comes the overnight low coming up around 700 to 95, so keep an eye on that. As long as you stay below the value low, you are retracing that lower tail. This is also an incomplete auction if we close like this. So on the bigger picture here, this is an incomplete auction because we started to retrace Tuesday the 23rd. We did not finish that retrace. So whatever is left is an incomplete auction. It is a shift in market structure. So if we do not repair that by the end of today or tomorrow, the market structure is shifting back to the downside. But all right, guys, that is it for now. I will be streaming in Discord for the rest of the day. If you guys are in Discord, I will see you guys there. If you guys are not in Discord, I will see you guys tomorrow, same time as always. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties in the morning. I'll be able to start at the normal time. DMH, you'll be seeing your code here in a second. So just be sure to keep an eye on your email. That code is going to give you a free account for 30 days. So after the 30 days, it's going to go to full price. So if you don't pass it in that 30 days, be sure to cancel it and go back to the brew code, which I believe right now is still 80% off. They extended the sale, I think, until the end of the month. But all right, guys, I appreciate you being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.